Hey everyone, welcome back to Wealth Wave, where we break down the biggest money moves happening in America right now. I'm your host, Stimulus Money, and today, we've got a major development that could impact every single person watching this. The Federal Reserve just made a move that could change everything, not just for Wall Street, but for your wallet, your grocery bill, and the value of every dollar in your bank account. They didn't just cut interest rates, they took a massive step that could lead us right back into a full-blown money printing cycle. And if you've been wondering why everything from food to rent still feels painfully expensive, or whether things are about to get better or worse, well, buckle up because this is big. I just finished reviewing the Federal Reserve's full press conference and their official statement, so you don't have to. And what I found is both surprising and, honestly, a little alarming. So stay tuned till the end, because I'm going to break down exactly what's happening, what it means for your wallet, and what you can do right now to protect yourself and your family. Let's start with what most people expected. The Fed just cut interest rates by a quarter point, bringing the federal funds rate down to 4.0%. This marks the second rate cut in a row, something many economists saw coming. But here's where the story takes a major turn, and this is what the mainstream headlines aren't talking about. Buried deep in the Federal Reserve's official FOMC statement, they quietly revealed something huge. Starting December 1, the Fed will end its program of reducing securities holdings. In plain English? That means quantitative tightening is over. For the past few years, the Fed has been shrinking its balance sheet, pulling money out of the economy in an effort to fight inflation. They've removed over $2.20 trillion from the system. That's trillion, with a T. But all of that ends in just a few weeks. Now here's the part I've been warning about here on Wealth Wave for months. When the Fed stops tightening, it's usually the first step in a very predictable playbook. Step 3, start the money printers again. And based on what we're seeing, that last step could start as early as 2026 with trillions of new dollars flooding into the economy. When that happens, history tells us one thing: inflation will come roaring back. Now, let's dig into the Fed's mindset. Why would they even consider doing this? Because they're backed into a corner. The economy is slowing down. Job growth is cooling. And with rising debt and election pressures building, the Fed's options are limited. Printing money or expanding the balance sheet becomes their go-to move to keep things from falling apart. But of course, that's a short-term fix with long-term pain. The next Federal Reserve meeting is set for December 10, and the markets are already betting on another rate cut. Before the last press conference, traders were pricing in a 92.8% chance of another cut. But when Fed Chair Jerome Powell was asked directly if that next cut was a done deal, his response shocked everyone. Not at all. He admitted that the Fed is split internally. Some members think they've already done enough, cutting rates by 150 basis points total, and believe they're now in the neutral range between 3% and 4%. Translation? Even the Fed doesn't know what comes next. And here's where things get even more complicated. Because of the recent government shutdown, the Fed doesn't have access to their usual labor data. That means they're basically making decisions blindfolded. Powell used a powerful analogy. He said, "When you're driving in the fog, you slow down." So don't be surprised if they pause rate cuts in December, simply because they don't have a clear picture of what's happening in the economy. In the meantime, they'll be relying on every private survey, regional report, and market signal they can find. But make no mistake, uncertainty is high, and uncertainty usually means caution. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room: inflation. Powell reaffirmed that the Fed is absolutely still committed to their 2% inflation target. But let's be real, inflation is currently running around 2.8% and trending upward. And Powell even admitted that tariff-related price hikes are expected to continue into spring. He tried to downplay it by calling those one-time price adjustments, but for regular people like us, those so-called one-time jumps at the grocery store or gas pump never go away. That's the real pain Americans are feeling. He even acknowledged that people are still angry not just because prices are high today, but because the massive inflation from 2021 through 2023 has permanently raised the cost of living. Sure, inflation may have slowed, but your rent, groceries, and insurance are still way higher than they were 3 years ago. And Powell said it could take years for incomes to catch up. But here's the big question. If the Fed starts printing money again before wages rise, what happens then? Simple. Prices shoot up even higher, and working families get squeezed again. So, when does the money printing actually begin? Here's the timeline according to Powell. Step 1. End balance sheet reduction on December 1 St. Step 2. Hold steady for a while. Step 3. Respond to developments. Notice how vague that is. That's on purpose. They're waiting for something to break: a banking issue, a credit crunch, maybe even a recession. The moment a crisis hits, the Fed will have its excuse to fire up the money printers again, all in the name of saving the economy. But every time they do that, it comes with a cost: higher prices for you and me. Now, let's talk about what you can do to protect yourself right now. If you've got credit cards, adjustable rate loans, or any variable rate debt, don't assume rates are going to keep falling. The Fed could pause or even reverse course. Try to lock in a fixed rate where you can. Even setting aside $300, $500 can make a world of difference when unexpected expenses hit. If inflation spikes again, having that cushion helps you avoid expensive debt. Step 3. Think about where your money's sitting. If inflation heats up again, cash sitting idle will lose value. I'm not giving investment advice, but it's worth learning about assets that tend to hold value in inflationary times, like real estate, commodities, or inflation-protected securities. Step 4. Focus on your income. The best hedge against inflation is earning power. Negotiate that raise, pick up a new skill, or start that side hustle. Every extra dollar of income helps you stay ahead. Step 5. Track your spending closely. If we're heading toward another wave of inflation in 2026, now's the time to tighten up. Every dollar you save today gives you breathing room tomorrow. Here's the bottom line, my friends. The Federal Reserve has officially ended the era of tight money. We're moving back toward easier credit and eventually, massive money printing. That might sound good for big corporations and wealthy investors, but for working families, for the people living paycheck to paycheck, this could be a serious challenge. When the Fed prints money, asset prices rise, and the rich get richer. But regular Americans? We're left paying higher prices at the store, the pump, and everywhere else. Now, I'm not telling you this to scare you, I'm telling you this so you can prepare. Because on Wealth Wave, that's what we do. We break down what's really happening behind the scenes, and we help everyday Americans make smart money moves before it's too late. You're not alone in feeling frustrated or worried. We all see the same prices at the store, the same rising bills, and the same uncertainty about the future. But staying informed is the first step to staying in control. So, if this breakdown helped you understand what's really going on with the Federal Reserve and how it affects your wallet, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We've got another major Fed meeting coming up on December 10th, and you can bet I'll be here on Wealth Wave breaking down exactly what happens and what it means for you. And while you're here, check out my other videos on surviving inflation and managing your money when times are tight, real strategies for real people. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think the Fed is making the right move? Or are we headed for another round of inflation pain? Drop a comment below. I read every single one of them. Thanks for watching, my friends. Stay informed, stay prepared, and as always, this is Stimulus Money from WealthWave, helping you ride the financial tides towards stability and success. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.